Okay, welcome everyone to the weekly meeting on Sky 360 development meeting. Oh, that's a double word. Before we go into details and maybe we can talk about the upcoming version that we're all working on. Maybe some of you can give us a little bit of updates, what you did, or your ideas where to go. But first of all, I want to give you a quick info about the enclosures. So what we did is we ordered a production of 15 enclosures. That enclosure production is based on a design, we call it the version 3.7. And some of people, we have actually 19 orders of only 15 enclosures that were produced. So the 15 enclosures were already shipped, and there are now 4 pending purchases that we have to fulfill, and we want to fulfill as quickly as possible. The question now is, as the enclosures came to us, we saw that there are fails in the production. There are little fails in design, which result in warping effects, because it's thermoformed and there can warping effects happen. And there are things we want to change. Things we'd like to remove and things we want to add on, for example. So that's why we decided to make the small changes as quickly as possible, so that we can kick the next production as quickly as possible and make a next bigger version. So let's say we go now from the 3.7 to the 3.8 as quickly as possible. And then also kick off production of the next batch so that we can fulfill the existing orders that we already have. And then go for a 4.0 version for the enclosure, let's say in 1 or 2 months. So that's basically the roadmap for now. That's why I asked those people who already have ordered but not got it received, just to be a little bit more patient. I know that's a big ask, but I can tell you we were waiting for over a year for that to happen. But yeah, be sure that it will take place, it will happen, you will get your enclosures, and it's just that we make the next version a bit better than the previous version and not producing the same failures. Okay, so that's a quick update on the enclosure side. Any questions here for enclosures?
So what's the time frame then? Are you just saying that give us some time to figure this out, or what?
So
yeah.
Tomorrow we will have a meeting where we discuss all the pictures we received, all the enclosures that we already have in our hands, and so there will be we will be the 3 of us discussing material that we received from I think 6 people. Okay. And we have internally spoken about certain topics we want to change, and we saw, of course, we saw some production flaws, and they are the same in all productions. So that's, for example, kind of a warping that we can reduce. This is true for all enclosures. So that's happened tomorrow. Then I hope the next day, Tuesday, I can talk with the producer and go into detail about what we want to change, and ask him for a quote about the changes. And I hope I will get this quote by end of the week. Cross fingers.
Okay.
And then we can kick the next production. But there will be changes in, let's say, the CNC templates, and certainly a little bit in the tools. So there will be some time when we kick this. We kick first the changes in the tool, which takes, let's say, a week. And then we will kick the production when the tool is done. Because when the tool is done, the producer makes a prototype, and we have to see whether the prototype fits what we wanted to see. And then we can kick the production. So let's say we can kick it as early as 2 weeks from now. That's if all goes good.
Okay.
If all goes according to plan.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
I've already got an order for 2 I need to put in, but I'm waiting until we get that resolved.
Yeah. So for the enclosures that are already out, The only thing that shall be changed for those first 15 enclosures will be the door situation. The door is insufficiently working as expected. It's due to the material that is almost vertical. It's a little bit slanted, but because when you thermoform something from upside down, you get horizontal thick plates, but vertical plates become thin because on a short distance you thin it out.
Yeah.
And we have around 2 millimeters on the side walls, sometimes at certain places.
And what is the desired thickness of the walls?
Yeah, so the material that goes in is 5 millimeters. But if you thermoform and you have side walls, you always get thinner ones.
Yeah, it thins it out, right.
Okay? And you can simulate this with software that tells you should get about 3 millimeter on thickness. But then the design can be that you get some warping effects into. And warping means more resistance in the moment when the material is bent over. So that resistance on that edge, if that edge is rounder, you get less warping effects. And that's what we do in the tool so that we make the top rim a little bit more roundish. So that we at the end get more thickness in the walls. For the door, it was expected to have more thickness there in the walls, so the walls are, for a door to be able to open and close without deforming the wall, this 2 millimeters is too less. So our idea is now to go away from a door, which implies a hinge, but go to a hatch that you take off. No hinges, just a hatch, lock, take off.
So lock with friction and some insulating material.
Insulating material, definitely. Friction, I don't know. We have several things we can do. We can do what the car industry does, especially the racing industry does, this quick fix mounts where you take off the shell of a car. You notice with racing cars, you have this quick fix. Or we take it with magnets, or we take it with a handle that you can lock, even with a key and lock mechanism.
Okay.
Maybe we have to find a door situation that does it all. That's possible for all kind of. I don't know yet. Christian wants a bigger door, for example, a bigger opening. That also implies that we do a little bit more changes also in the model because the door has then to be bigger. My question now is for the already 15 doors, if we just take those doors and change the mechanism to fix it, to hold it, you can still use it. Otherwise, we would have to make new doors. And yes, we will do new doors. For all those 15 enclosures that are out, we have to make new doors because otherwise, for now, with that existing door, that is not sufficiently working.
Hey, Richard, I've got I'll create a drawing. Once we're done here, I'll create a drawing of an idea that I have how to do that.
Okay.
You can actually have you can have a door like this with like a hinge coming off of not a hinge, like an L bracket coming off of it, and you can use that to slip in, and then use so the door would slip in like this and then close, and then up top you would have your turn. Simple as that. So the hinges at the bottom would be affixed to the door, and it wouldn't rotate. You just literally slip it in, and then
like a
rotate
lever.
it. Exactly. Very common. We do it all the time.
Yeah, I see doors like this.
Can you send me a picture?
Yeah.
Or
well, I'll draw it.
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, pretty much if you have TV remote, he also has these tiny teats that go into the plastic and catch from one side, and you push on the other side, like Tommy explained.
We need a bit of a pressure on the wall.
Yeah.
Because the insulation, there's two insulations. One is on the wall and one is on the door, and they both go like this.
They need to, yeah.
And that's why we need a kind of a pressure to overcome the inner strength of the insulation material. Bojan, you are on record, I just tell you.
He is now doing it on purpose, right?
He does it certainly on purpose. He's a bad guy. Yeah, things we want to change is also getting rid of those little mounts on the floor. They are not as expected, so the outcome is not as expected. So we will remove those mount points, and everything we mount in the future will be either directly drilling into the floor, or we make a kind of a rail where things can be mounted on. So the floor will be flat in the future. Any other questions concerning the regarding
Why
the
is the bottom part? Why is not thicker?
Tommy, I can't see it. This is too unsharp.
Your background blur is affecting the paper.
Yeah, hold on.
Boyan, you said something.
Boyan, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I ask the, why is floor of the enclosure not thicker?
Not thicker? Thicker than what?
Thicker than enclosure itself. This
No,
can help or not?
no, it's both 5 millimeters. You see, when you put the hood on the floor, they go into each other. Okay, so on the side you have
Yeah.
this rim so that they fit into each other. And when you look on the rim, both rims are 5 millimeters. So the source material is a 5 millimeter ABS with a UV coating, and that's thermoform. That's heated and then sunken and shrinked on and sucked onto the tool. And depending on the verticalness of walls, they will be stretched and therefore become thinner. The floor is just flat, so there should be 5 millimeters.
If we're using ABS little thicker ABS, for example, 7 millimeters,
Yeah.
this will help
No, it's
or
not.
not?
5 millimeter is the limit. 5 millimeter is the limit for thermoforming. You would have needed bigger machines to do it with a 7 millimeter.
Okay.
Thicker material also means more heat, more weight, and yeah, it makes things more complex. So 5 millimeter was the highest thickness we could get.
No,
Tommy, I think you have to make a picture.
Yeah, or
And
cut
share
off
the
the
picture.
filter, the blurred background.
That could be a penis. I don't know what that was. Sorry. Sorry for that. It was on record. Okay. Any other questions for the enclosure? All right. So next thing is we just have to inform you, and we do that openly, that next week on Sunday on 4 p.m. UTC, there will be a general assembly. Our association is set up in such a way that we have to have a general assembly at least once a year. You know this from other organizations as well, so it's our obligation to do so. There's one point that our members are the only ones we are, as an association, are allowed to produce and purchase stuff 2 and 4 and 2. Meaning, if we produce stuff, and we have to produce stuff because we need stuff that is not from the shelf, that's not available from the shelf. And when we produce or let produce that material, that equipment, we are only allowed to sell that within our own community of members. That's why when you purchase an enclosure, you get a disclaimer that you have to agree on that you automatically become a supporting member of Sky 360 without any obligation. So there's no payment involved, no money, nothing. So you don't have to do anything. You can cancel if you want to, but there's no obligation. But there's obligation for our side, which is we have to invite all members, also supporting members, to the General Assembly, which we already did. So when the General Assembly takes place next week, there will be, I hope, all stationers, everyone who also is a supporting member and purchased an enclosure will come and show up. We will take that opportunity to assign station IDs. So consider it like a unique ID that stands for that it identifies your station basically. And because your
Is it
station,
human readable?
pardon me?
Is it human readable or
Yeah,
it's
human readable.
UUID?
No, human readable. Simple. Um, country code, 3-letter country code. It's an ISO standard. You can look it up on Wikipedia. Plus a running number. So USA 1, USA 2, USA 3, and so forth. And so that we do not get into discussions who gets what ID, we said we bind the ID to the enclosure, because a station is built in an enclosure. Yes, of course, you can make your own enclosure, and then you get your own ID that we have to give you manually. But for an automatic process, we consider that people who buy a station also buy all the rest of the stuff and become a stationeer and become a station ID. So that's the basic protocol here. And for now, we have to do it by hand. There's no automatic process for now. So I take the list of orders in the order they came in. So I have timestamps on all orders, and we'll give the station ID to those people who already purchased an enclosure based on the order they came in. So people will get the USA 1, the other one will get USA 2. And we do not discuss whether someone wants the swap between USA 2 and USA 3, or someone is, I want to have USA 1. We do not discuss this. We have one simple role, and that is the incoming orders of enclosure purchases. Yeah, that sounds a little bit, how do you say, is dictatoric, dictatorship, but it's the only way we can do it, and we can do it in an automatic process. Yeah. Any ideas on that? Hey, Rebecca, you got a new icon. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
okay. You got a new icon, so I didn't recognize you at once.
Oh, hello.
You change your icons per week, I see.
I do, yeah. I get a little bored, add something new.
Yeah, that's fine. I just have to know it. Okay.
Hello, hello.
So yeah, on next weekend, people who get in a station will get an official station ID, and we will also ask those people because we do not have that automatic process now. For now, I will ask you, those stationeers, for your local coordinate where you put it, reduced to the first 2 digits, okay, which is accuracy about the 1 kilometer, okay. We want to use that to pinpoint on the world map where stationeers are, because I was always asked on stationeers, who is else in my country, where's the next one, do you have a map, and so forth. So yeah, I want to, on our website we already have that map, and we want to transfer those people into our map. All right, any questions up to now?
What about someone decides to move his station and he is no longer in USA,
Yeah.
so he's...
Yeah, we already have that situation with Aaron. He's moving once a year, he's moving around the planet. So yeah, we have to do that manually somehow. I mean, he's closing one station, although it's the same station, he's shutting it down in one place, but he's setting it up in a new place, so it has to get a new ID. Because it's a different country, and
Yeah.
if it's the same country, I wouldn't bother. I mean, Tommy, if you move it from your house to the lake, I mean, you stay with the ID. But if you move to Canada, you get a Canadian ID. Otherwise,
Right.
our network becomes messy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. All right then.
Can I show my screen?
Please go ahead.
Where'd you go? Let's see, Discord. Sharing. Screen. Oh, it's on there. Hold on, it's on the wrong screen. We'll move this over here. Yeah. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this when I do this.
Tommy, you look so desperate.
Okay, well, I can't tell. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, the thing on the left is the actual lid, and then you've got this little L bracket at the bottom. You can glue that on, or you can screw it on. I'm saying this is the existing setup. This doesn't have to be, or moving forward, but at least we have some way to work with this on the existing setup. So that gives you an L bracket at the bottom to allow you to slip in, right? And then push it up against the body of the hub, and then twist your lock at the top. You can just drill a hole there and just go to Home Depot and get one of those twist locks that you get for a cabinet door or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that solves that problem.
Okay. Yeah. So, do you have? So these doors exist. You said you built those doors already.
No, I'm saying that the doors that we have right now aren't the doors that we have right now like a fitted door. It's got a. It looks like that hub. For example, over on the right-hand side, where the hub is up against where the rectangle is up against the straight line.
Yeah.
That rectangle is the same as our actual door, right?
Yeah.
It's got a curve,
Okay.
a flip to it, flip all the way around, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so all I'm saying is that you could take that L bracket at the bottom, the existing door, and either screw it or glue it with some really strong 3M adhesive, and just stick it to the bottom of the door. And then when you get up to the hub, you just literally the door still stays on the outside, right? Because you put the bracket on the door, right, where it needs to be, but not at the very bottom. You follow what I'm saying? So that when you put it up against there, it will still fit into its socket. It's hard to explain. I guess I need to do a better
your
drawing.
L bracket runs into a socket.
Yeah, you could do that too.
But that's not what you meant.
No,
There is
I'm
no
saying you
need
don't
for a
have-
socket because you will use it as a lever. You will put the L things into enclosure. Let's say the bottom side. You will only fit the bottom side first, and then you will push the top part and lock it here.
But if you take
With,
the L bracket to the inside of the enclosure because you lock in, then water will ingress.
Exactly. But you don't have to put the L bracket
No.
in there. I did that wrong. I should have moved the L bracket up taller on the wall.
Yeah.
See.
It doesn't need to leak.
You can't see me pointing to it, can you?
No.
Okay. All I'm saying is move the L bracket up about 3 inches. Does that make sense now?
Up or down?
Up.
Up. So
Yeah.
to make the whole door smaller.
Well, no. What I'm saying, hold on. What I'm saying is that, there's a lip all the way around the door, right?
Yeah.
And that lip has to recede into the hub like this, right? Am I wrong?
So what's now is you got an enclosure, you can see it by yourself. So what you get is a wall, and around the door, the opening is a rim, and that is broad. This is part of the material.
To clear that, you move your L bracket up. Does that make sense? No?
Why you move L bracket?
It's okay. I don't want to. We're recording this. Let me go
Yeah.
take pictures of.
Yeah,
Okay.
send pictures is
I'll
better.
actually take pictures of it.
Yeah, it's better. Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah. Let's just,
anyhow, whatever we will come up with finally, Tommy, and
Right.
if you're available, you're very much in. We're happy to have you in the discussion on that.
oh yeah. Yeah. No worries. I'll take pictures and I'll show you what I mean. I actually have the brackets here, so I could actually mock it up and show it to you.
Okay. All right. So yeah, and yes, we have to make another door. So yeah, but we just the enclosure is for us, or at least for me, it's a piece of a hardware as any other hardware. So we have to improve that over with several iterations. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Please, people,
Yeah.
do not expect that as with the 3.8 version as the final version. There will be almost no final version anytime. We will always improve
Rolling
it.
release.
But yeah, it's a piece of hardware as any other hardware. Okay, so let's go on. As you all know, we are all working on the alpha version, and what I want to do with you today is talk about all the little topics, all the little pieces, depending on the people who are in. I'm missing Ido, I'm missing Christian for today, so I have to skip some points, and we have to assume that they will be implemented. So what we know up to now, please Nicola, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we have a camera. The camera produces images. These images go into Indy. From Indy, they are transported via ROS to, let's say, the tracker on another board. And the tracker gets in an image stream and has to process it. Is it correct so far?
So far, it's great.
Okay. So the next point is the tracker itself. And I'm happy that we have Mike here today. And actually, I want to take the opportunity to discuss with all of you a little bit about strategies about around the tracker. So, Mike, maybe you can give us a quick intro about the current situation of the tracker as it is right now.
Oh, okay. I can try. So, yeah, so as you guys know, the tracker mainly uses OpenCV to do all its stuff. I've been, beginning of the year, I was working on essentially trying to get it to utilize the GPU as well as the CPU. I mean, initially, towards the end of last year, it was mainly just CPU based. Beginning of the year, we started working on GPU version. So yeah, just been working on that. I've picked it up recently again. Sorry, I'm mumbling a bit, but I've picked it up recently again. And I'm making some amendments to it. I don't quite know exactly what you expecting with regards to an overview, but
my question, sorry, Mike, if I interrupt you. The question is more
Yeah,
to
sure.
give us an overview what tracker you're using, why we're using this kind of a tracker, so that because most people here today right now are not familiar with the simple tracker as it is.
Okay. So we use we use background subtraction and then like simple blob detection, and then we feed that into a CSRT tracker to try and track the blob across the screen or the video feed. We have various mechanisms that we try and use to ensure that we have a good track versus a bad track. Due to the nature of the tracker being quite resource intensive, our frame rate is, in my opinion, lowish. So an object can jump from one frame to another. So we do have the possibility of having orphaned objects, which we have to deal with. We have the possibility of objects that started being tracked and then basically just don't move any longer, that we have to deal with. All those sorts of active tracks consume quite a lot of resources. So it is the single most it's the process that has the biggest impact on frame rate currently. So in order to try and reduce the frame rate, we've got various ways of trying to determine if it's a good track, and all that is being done to try and aid an increase in frame rate. I've done some work this week actually to try and improve the determination of whether a track is a good track or a bad track. So in the past, I've used frame count. I've switched that to time. I've also been working on masking. So trying to improve masking. I want to move some of that stuff over to GPU as well. There's other optimizations that potentially we could look at, which I still have to do, which is using several streams as far as processing on GPU go. So yeah, it's work in progress. I suppose. I mean, a lot of where the sample tracker initially originated was something that Paul put together, and like the initial concept, and I've tried to refactor and make it better over time. So it's not just I need to give Paul credit as well, because obviously it's not just my work. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are really. So this week I'm looking at doing some of the masking stuff on GPU, and then hopefully get a new version checked in and merged in towards the end of the week or whenever IDO is available. I think there is a he would like to try and integrate it with ROS2, so I'm just familiarizing myself a little bit with ROS2 at the moment, try and understand all those concepts. But I think that's probably going to be the next step really, is integrating it with ROS2, I guess. I mean, as OpenCV evolves, there will be improvements that can be made, so it's never going to just be it's done. But as OpenCV evolves, I'll try and make those improvements as best I can.
So it's a pity that Ido is not here today. He would tell you that he's working on a paper for us about ROS2 and how to implement it for us. So an explicit paper about every topic, let's say the user interface, the tracker, the archive management, how it shall be set up with ROS2, so that it should be easy for you to follow those guidelines.
Okay, cool, thanks. Yeah, no, that's really good. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, and Christian uploaded under software on the drive. So if you all have drive access, you will find a new document there. It's the development and design guideline, which gives you an overview of the Sky 360 system as it should be developed. It's only a guideline with details, but it gives you links and so forth and details where so people with uncertain workplaces know how to implement. And Nicola and Ido and Rebecca are also contributing to this paper. So let's hope that in the next couple of weeks, what are you showing us here, Nicola? That in the next couple of weeks this guideline is finalized, so that we can all, let's say, work with ROS2 and have the same messaging system. I call it messaging system for a better word. All right, so Yeah, well, the next thing would be when the tracker recognizes an event, that it is reported to the master control program. And yes, again, this is a part where Kristen and Ido are working on. Both of them are not here today to tell us about it. But the main idea is that this is the decision-making part where all events from all sensors are coming in, and this decision-making part shall then decide which secondary sensors are directed to a certain event in the sky. So for example, the PT set will then be guided to. It also decides whether an event is an event that is archivable or shall be archived, and maybe events that are not on the wish list for the user or for us are neglected. Or if they are wished, let's say if someone wants to collect videos of birds, you can check the config and say, I want to see bird videos too. So this decision is in the master control program. But the master control program, as you all know, and for some of you, it's an echo, it's a repeating thing. What we call the trackers is a three-level process actually. That the simple tracker is the one that detects motion and tries to keep that as a track and follow that as a track and report it as a track. But then we have algorithms that shall come on top of that, and it's not decided yet whether we shall do this on the same board or have an extra board. It depends on the performance and of the Jetson Nano. First of all, we have to test it on the Jetson Nano, how the performance of the tracker then finally will be if GPU and all resources are drawn. And then we can say whether we do not need another platform for running a kinetics or neural network, or yes, we need another platform to do so. So in case we need another platform, we have to think about it, what platform that will be and what platform is optimal.
There is no other platform. If we don't opt to use ARM64, there is only x86 64.
Yeah.
With NVIDIA, of course, because CUDA is gift from gods.
Yeah. So yeah, we have a setup as for now as we think it will work. But if it will not work performance-wise, then we have to rethink the hardware as well. I just want to make sure that everyone knows that this is also something that will change.
Can I just quickly say something?
Sure.
Someone is sharing their screen just so they are aware that they are sharing a screen.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, sorry.
Trying to follow the conversation with the visual part.
Yeah, that's great, Nicola. Thank you for doing so. I wouldn't dare to ask you to do so, but this is great for the video that we record. Because what we see right now is this three-level process where we have motion detection, kinematics classification, and neural network identification. Yeah, per se is the process simple. It is certainly demanding in process power. And we do not know yet at that point in time whether the Jetson can do all of these three, or just one, for example, or we have to find another platform yet. So
I think like we are doing with the SDR, we are using high-end equipment to analyze and to plan our future. So maybe we should also do it with compute, like develop everything for desktop with beefy hardware, and then see, okay, even if it's struggling even on desktop, then we cannot use Raspberry Pi for some reason or something.
Yeah, or we can even say we split it. We make several boards.
Yeah.
To be run all on one board.
Because when we have a ROS2 or any messaging system, we can, for example, put cluster of Raspberry Pis, and each of them will run only one task. For example, one Raspberry Pi dedicated for kinematics analysis, where we take trajectory of the track and then we try to fit a curve to it to see, okay, is it a plane-ish looking trajectory or insect looking trajectory, and it can run on one Pi. And since we have ROS packages that are insulated from each other, we can also distribute the workload to perform basically horizontal scaling of our compute. because when we go to the Intel or AMD processor with beefy GPUs, this is vertical scaling, and we can do it also horizontally, and you just pop in more Raspberry Pis.
True. So for it, Lionel is not here to tell us about the kinematics. So I just skip that for now and go over to neural network. So we have, and please again correct me if I'm wrong, we have two approaches for now with the image recognition. One is that is frame per frame based, and I think Yannick, true that you are still testing this frame-wise recognition.
So I haven't done something in the last 2-3 weeks. I was on vacation actually, and then the last try I did was with the about 10,000 images that we had labeled, and now I'm basically waiting what happens with the other output we have from the simple tracker. So as far as I know,
Yeah,
Nicola, you wanted to do some unsupervised
yeah, but
classification, and
that's true. But the
yeah,
problem is that I'm not at home right now. I'm in my parents'
okay,
house, and they don't have enough compute. So
okay.
yeah, but
Uh,
well,
And
yeah, go ahead.
I don't know where we are right now in terms of the pictures. So how many pictures we have and where they are, and if they already have UUIDs. I think, yeah.
Yes, so I produced 300,000 pictures, and Brad produced around 300,000 pictures. So yes, we have 600,000 for now, and they are 50% no-shows. So the next step would be to reduce that that 600,000 by 90% or 50%. I don't know. So that all images that you get are real shows.
And how do we want to do that? The
With
Yeah.
with unsupervised learning,
okay, yeah.
because I assume so far when I did a test run with 10K images, I think the majority of pictures were like empty sky, right?
Yeah.
Or clouds moving slowly.
Yeah.
And I did notice a pattern where one cluster was like 10 times larger than the others, and when I open this cluster, I can only see the empty sky. So I guess we can eliminate a majority of emptiness, and we can for sure eliminate the lens artifact on the edges of the sensor. Some parts of sensor are not exposed to the light and they're full black. So we can also eliminate that.
Okay.
And the images, do they already have the UUIDs?
Oh, I don't know really. I just downloaded the files
Okay.
from the how it's called. Richard, where did you send me the files on
I'm looking
WeTransfer?
I sent a WeTransfer, yeah. I'm just looking them up. Yes, they have UIDs. So the name of each file is the UID plus the event ID plus the running ID. So
Okay.
I can share my screen if you want to.
I will stop sharing. Oh, actually, I found the files. I can show them.
You can show them? Okay, then you do it.
I just need to extract it, open containing folder, and now let's hope.
You okay. You took the smallest one.
Archive 7.
Archive 7?
Yeah, it's 7. Oh, it's going slow. If you have it ready, please show it.
Okay,
It's 10,
Yeah.
11.
So sharing. see my screen?
No.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, Yannick, so that's it. Do you see?
Yeah, yeah.
It's really small.
So it's
There.
the same naming the
That's
pictures from the Google Drive, the 10,000 images. It's track UID, QID, whatever. Then the number of the frame from the track.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, and you increase the margin around the objects, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the real
Yeah.
picture in.
UFO for sure.
Damn! Where's this picture gone? Where is my file?
Maybe it was really UFO and deleted it from your computer.
So that's that. Come on. So that's the. Can I enlarge it here? So it is 53 by 53 pixels enlarged. But the funny
And
thing
what was
is,
the smallest the image? Was the smallest resolution?
smallest is I think about 50 by 50. It goes up to
Ah,
60 by
okay.
60 or 64 by 64 is the biggest.
And what if simple tracker spots like big bird landing on a lens? It will be more than 64 by 64. What
Yes,
will get
but in
cropped?
that case, the PT set wouldn't make it anyways.
We'll
Yeah,
use PTZ to move the bird away.
I've got examples of bugs and spiders that do that already, so we can work through those use cases if you guys want to.
Wolfgang had some code that checks the size of the bound box, and if it's larger than some hard-coded value, it just ignores it.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, we can do something similar, really. So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you, Mike? Can you set the bounding box size is dynamic in the simple tracker, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's based on. I can't remember. It's based on the blob. I think I can't.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the
On
top
the
of my
size
head.
of
I'll
the
have to have a
blob.
look.
Yeah. It is. I mean, for sending the PT set, we don't need a bounding box, but to crop the images for the next step, for the kinematics and for the image recognition, we need to crop the images out of the big picture of the fish.
Wait, do we need to crop it for kinematics? We just need to find like a central point of the bound box.
For
Like
kinematics, you are right. Yeah, for kinematics, you don't need the picture, but for the image recognition, you need them.
Yeah, there we need.
You
Yeah.
need them cropped.
Yeah, and we also now we have a lot of pictures. We can analyze them, like the average size of the picture, so we can design our first layer of neural network to be
So-
something that is not way off of the average.
So when I when I went on my summer thing, basically beginning of the year, I was pretty much the only person that had really run Simple Tracker. So like these additional requirements just didn't exist at that point in time. So it's really cool that you guys have actually been experimenting with it, because that then in turn will produce a set of requirements that we can record and I can develop against. So absolutely, if there's stuff that needs amending and changing, bounding boxes increasing, like margins made configurable or whatnot, I mean, all of that sort of stuff is perfectly doable, and I'm more than happy to work through a list of changes that you guys need to support your work as well. So that's no problem at all.
Cool, good stuff. So
Yeah. So one thing, if I may say,
go ahead.
is I think it would be great if we could achieve that the bounding box is tighter to the object in general. I think that would be great for image labeling, actually.
And it is also great for recognition itself. But the
Yeah,
problem is that 64 by 64 is already small.
So
And
just one
Yeah.
thing to just bring to your attention, right, is that when a blob is detected, that might not necessarily be the entire object. It could just be the main mass of it. So it's something that I can look at, like try and crop the bounding box as close to the image as I possibly can, and then but in some instances that will always, it's likely to overlay onto the image you are trying to track. So I don't want to, I kind of don't want to set expectations that it's something I can do when I'm not entirely confident it's something I can do. I can try, but and we can kind of, if you guys have got a couple of examples. So I think a lot of the stuff, and I was having a conversation with Richard during this week as well, is so it's easier for me to work towards something if I have a known set of examples, like a sample set to work with. So if we can maybe look through some of the videos, I'm happy to help as well, and effectively generate a list of videos which are right. We're going to use these as examples. They're going to go into the GitHub repository, and this is essentially what we're going to base the tracker on. I can do my best to try and accommodate that. Yeah, that's basically.
Sounds good.
I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely, and Mike, that's I think you already received the case videos I sent you, right?
Yes,
Just
I mean I have
videos,
yeah, I mean I have also processed a lot of videos in the beginning of the year, so I have lots of videos which I know has got birds and planes and all those sorts of things in. So and I've got a sample set of good and bad and like strange ones, like for example rain coming down on a camera, and all these sorts of funny things. So it is, at some point we can maybe just work through those list of videos and see exactly what we want the behavior to be, and then I can go away and try and make it so.
Yeah. So the idea, just I recall it so that I understand it right, is to create problematic videos. Yeah.
edge cases.
To collect problematic videos. Is that what you mean, Mike?
I think, yeah. So I think we need a combination of like good videos. So especially if we, yeah, that's a good question. I was thinking more along the lines of, yeah, that's a fair question. Maybe we can, can I have a think about that and get back to you? Maybe just take it offline. But I think essentially, I think we need. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I think we need a set of known videos that I can use for testing purposes.
Yeah.
Whether they're good videos or bad videos, so I can do testing on both sides. And then work towards trying to get it optimized for those videos. There are a couple of videos already in the repository which I use as my test videos, so we can always expand. We can expand on that list and add more, and then we can add some edge cases. But yeah, just to try and get a set of ideas or behaviors that we wanted to do with those videos.
Yeah, I think it's
good. Because otherwise, as you can imagine, otherwise you can imagine it's just me going, "Oh, I think that looks about right."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Now, we should not only collect those videos on the drive, I would suggest, or in GitHub, but we also should have a documentation by it. Let's say to say, with this video, there's a problem with.
Agreed.
Speed, for example, this object is too fast to be tracked, or this object gets lost because of cloud movements, or something.
Agreed. Yeah, no, I completely agree. One thing I do want to do is I want to there's a README in this. I want to tidy up some documentation and tidy up documentation with the videos and all that sort of stuff. That is on my to-do list, just to tidy all that stuff up.
All right.
Is there something we could do with pests with ultrasonic frequency or something to keep pests away from the station?
Can you
I
repeat
don't
it?
think that it can repel the insects.
Can you repeat what you
Okay.
said, please, Christopher?
Yeah, no, I was wondering if you could put like an ultrasonic pest deterrent to keep birds and bugs away from the station.
Ultrasonic is. I don't
Not
like.
really working.
I don't. No, maybe it is working. I'm no experience here, but I don't like
Yeah.
ultrasound because of dogs and cats.
Oh yeah, dogs will go mad.
And dogs go crazy with this. Can you remember the old remotes that go on ultrasonics? You could make dogs
Yeah.
crazy with this. Now, but there are other simple solutions to get rid of. I mean, you never get rid of birds. I mean, and we should not. But to get rid of insects in the close proximity of the fisheye, let's say the lens area, you can just take a blower.
Oh,
Or we put
Just
the
make
light
strong
somewhere
wind.
away
Yeah.
from the station.
sometimes they can just be up there for hours, just crawling
Yeah,
around.
we even saw spiders making their webs there.
We don't. All right. Oh,
And we have one video where one spider is fighting against another spider just for the possession of the fish eye optic.
Yeah,
It's
it's my fish eye.
It's mine. I was first.
Lord of the Lens.
Yeah. So okay, we will collect videos, and I think I will upload them. Shall we do it on Drive, because everyone has access to Drive, or shall we upload it to GitHub? Mike, what do you prefer?
Drive. GitHub is
Drive.
not the place for it. GitHub
Okay.
is for code.
Okay, Mike. So we collect it in the Drive, right?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I can then just put a comment in somewhere that says the videos that
A comment file that
That-
is an index for.
yeah
file.
the videos are over here. Grab them from here, sort of thing.
Good point. Perfect. Can you inform me when you have to set that up? So then I will upload several videos there.
Yeah. So I would like to. So this week. Sorry, I just want to. Yeah. So this week I would like to try and. I probably at some point need to have a conversation about masking. I don't know if now's the right time, but I would like. So I've done some implementation with masking, which is so we previously had it was called like a fisheye mask, but essentially it was just a circle, and you could give a percentage value as to how much of the image you wanted to not be there, basically, or removed from view as such. I can't remember if it was radius or diameter, but so what I've also done now is I've expanded that and included another two masking options, which one is, so basically if you have an image, you have an image as a mask, and then you can then also use that, so it's black and white image and the white bit is where the video is going to be, or the inverse of that. So I've got that implemented now, and I would like to just try and also, I need to do CUDA implementations of that as well. I don't think I'm going to be able to do CUDA implementation with the fisheye one I was looking at earlier, because the concept of drawing a circle doesn't actually exist in the CUDA API. That's a GPU API. And this is the challenge we have with regards to feature parity between what is able to be done on CPU and what is able to be done on GPU. But I know so for example, if I had an image that was a mask for the video, I can do that on GPU. So I want to get that implemented this week, and then hopefully do a pull request, get that stuff merged into main branch, and then then we can look at all this other stuff. But in the meantime, I might just try and try and put together a list of requirements that you guys have experienced, and if you guys can just direct message me stuff as well.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, that image that you said that you're making for the mask,
Yes.
right? Okay, is that a PNG?
The one I've got is JPEG, but it could be. I don't think it. I mean, as long as OpenCV can load it, it can be. If you have a PNG that you would like me to check, I'm more than happy to give it a go and try it.
Okay, the reason I ask is because I was doing the mask feature where the user actually draws on the image to blacken out everything, and from what I understand, you were going to use that image that they saved to transfer over to whatever it is you're doing, and I was using a PNG file.
That's fine. I was kind of anticipating that was the route you might be taking, so that's why I just did the work this weekend on being able to mask with an image, because that was the only thing that kind of came to mind and made sense, really. So, I can. If do you mind if I direct message you and give you an email address, and then you can just ping the PNG over to me, and if you've got a PNG that I can just check.
Okay, sure, no problem.
You can share in Discord here. I mean, you have direct message.
Yeah, we have that.
Oh, okay. Do on here as well.
So,
that's fine.
Hey guys, please correct me if I'm wrong. My experience with masks is rather simple, and we did it also with PNG files, and we did the editing on the real picture from the fish eye, for example, where you have all the things that you want to mask away, and you take a kind of a pen and you paint the area that you want to have removed, and you paint on the alpha channel so that everything that remains is still visible. It is difficult for someone to start with a white image and then make black over it when you don't see through what is behind. So
and that's what
that's what you do, Rebecca, right?
Yeah, it's a PNG with the alpha channel, and so they'll see the actual image underneath, and then they'll draw, pixel by pixel or 5 by 5 pixel or 1 by 1 pixel, that kind of thing to blacken out the areas that they don't want to be seen.
Yeah. Perfect. And Mike, you will get then a PNG file with an alpha channel, and you just make an XOR on the alpha.
Yeah. So if Rebecca, if you send it over to me after the meeting, I can test it, and give you feedback if that's okay. But yeah, essentially that's what I've kind of done at the moment. I've done it so I've done it both ways. So one, so basically it's a black and white image, and I load in grayscale, and the white bit is the one that is viewable. So that is essentially where the image, that's the non-masked bit. So that's the bit that's the real-time video, the bit that was white before. But then I've also just done the inverse of that, just in case someone wants that option. So.
And another thought that just came to me, I could possibly save it as a JPEG after they draw it. Just save it as a JPEG, but I don't know.
If you send me, just ping me anything that you've got currently, and I can try it and let you know. I can't see it being a problem, but I'll let you know if that.
I have a question about shape matching, because GUI doesn't know the specification of the camera yet, so he doesn't know resolution, or if the sensor is actually square. Same goes for Simple Tracker.
Oh.
So
the material coming from the camera is square. It will be square.
Okay, and the resolution, because the mask needs to match one-on-one. The resolution of the mask needs to be the same as the resolution of the frame, and right now we don't have mechanism to communicate between two parties.
I resize them to make sure they match.
Anyway.
And if you resize, will it have like a semi-transparent alpha channel in some regions?
Now you're asking.
I think the most important thing
I
I think the most important thing would be to make sure that we're both using the same like 4x4 square, rather than rectangle versus like you're using a rectangle, I'm using a square. Just as long as we use a square where all the sides are the same, wouldn't that be the best
But
thing?
also, yeah, that's the best solution. But also the side length in pixel needs to be the same. That would be perfect fit.
But I think he can do a little ratio or whatever it was he was saying to make sure that it matches
Yeah,
up.
but we need to pay special attention because when you resize the image, it will not be crisp as it was before resize.
Yeah.
So before resize, some pixel will be full transparent and full opaque. But when you resize on this boundary
Get shades.
between full opaque, there will be a shades of transparency, like a gradient. And when you have gradient, you cannot use XOR, right, to check.
Right.
My mask
So-
isn't going to have gradients. It's either black or transparent.
Yes, perfect.
And originally I had 5x5 pixels. Richard wanted smaller, so I thought I might do. Originally, what I thought I'd do is have them do 5x5, and then when they want to fine tune it, they can click a button or something, and then do smaller pixels. But actually, there are no gradients for that. I mean, somebody.
Yeah,
if
but
they
after
want,
you resize the picture, then they will appear.
Yeah, so we should not resize this picture. There should be the same size of the incoming feed. And we
Yeah.
have
So
to
basically,
we have to-
what
we have to think in the system. The camera produces a frame, and on that frame, Rebecca is painting on. For now, Mike, you have a different situation because your material is, I think it's rectangular, right? The videos?
Yeah, so I guess from my point of view, so okay, so if I can check to determine whether I need to do resize versus just blanketly doing a resize, so that's not a problem. But what do I do if the images don't match? Do I just basically abort and essentially do a no op mask, or do I resize? So I don't want to prevent the video stream from being displayed. So I kind of understand. I understand the intricacies of everything you guys are talking about in the computer overhead and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, I think if the images are the same size, then I don't have to resize. So that's great. But if they're not the same size, then I can't not do anything. So I either then have to just not apply a mask, or you know what I mean.
I would just.
I guess
Yeah, go ahead.
you resize and then go through resized picture and see if the transparency is closer to being opaque or closer to being transparent, and then
I think so.
choose
Yeah, I think
like
I
round.
think yeah. So my approach with this sort of stuff is that I think we'll give it a go, see what comes out, and then if we need to fine tune, we can fine tune, sort of thing. I can share whatever you guys want me to share, so I can share a video with you or some images, or so you guys can interpret it and critique it as well. And then if we need to make changes, we make changes. So it's no, in my opinion, it's no
It's
biggie.
not frozen.
You
Yeah,
know?
true.
Yeah, just a food for thought.
Absolutely. No,
Mike,
thank you.
I wouldn't. First of all, I would not rescale. But if you have to, there's a function. It's called near neighbor, where you just take neighbors and not doing interpolation. So.
That would not produce the gradients, the shades, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
But I would not do any rescaling. I would say you're on the safe side if you take the mask and put it in the center so that both images are centered. Because the fisheye per se is always centered on the sensor. So if you take a mask that is square and you have a rectangular video, if you put both over each other with the center of both on the same center point, then you don't have to resize. Then you're good to go.
No, you're not. What if, for example,
Yeah,
you?
but what if it's bigger?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
actually, it should not be
personally
bigger.
can.
It should actually
No,
not
I
be
know
bigger.
it shouldn't be. I know in an ideal world it'll be the same size, but I've also been in this job, this kind of profession long enough that I know it doesn't work. You basically have to work towards edge cases versus happy day flows. So it's those sorts of questions that I'd have. You know what I mean? Is
Got your point.
so that's why I just thought if it comes in the same size as the image, I'm not going to touch it. But other than that, I'll resize it. And the person that has the station will, if they want to change it, then it's perfectly within their capability to create a new mask, sort of thing. In my opinion,
True, of course.
that was just my view. Yeah.
And that mask will automatically be based on the frame, so frame size. So
You would have thought so. Yes.
I think
Yes.
from your point of view, I would say just put those on top of each other, no matter whether they're the same size or not, because you can't fail. Because in the future, the incoming material is coming from the camera, and if it does not work right, because the user sees, say, my mask seems not to be correct, or my mask is too big because I didn't update my mask yet, but I changed the camera. I mean, in that case, you have to change the camera first to get another resolution of the frame in order to have a problem with the mask. So that's a cascade of problems, I would say.
Yeah. So I didn't want to deal with all that stuff, so I basically just thought I'd just resize it.
Yeah, better not.
But that's a fair point. I mean, all of those are perfectly valid versus my cop out approach of resizing. So I completely get it. I'm not going to argue either which way. I mean, I'm more than happy to do whatever you guys want. In all fairness.
And I can do mine as a square or a rectangle or however that works for you.
Yeah, that's cool. I think it's going to basically be based on the image coming in from the camera anyway, so they'll probably match just fine.
Yeah, I believe there will be a settings topic on our ROS2 messaging bus where Indy will publish the camera parameters.
True.
So for now, let's keep all the image dimensions in some constant file, so we can wire it easily later on when we have something to integrate with.
Yeah, true. Okay, everyone fine with this? All right. I have one question to all of you actually, but more to Mike. So the bounding box of an event.
Okay.
You create this on a dynamical way. Why not? I mean, why do we have to use a dynamic bounding box? And Yannick, you say because you want to have a small frame around an object so that the signal to noise is very high, right?
That's the basic idea.
That's the
But
basic
I guess it makes sense if the images are very small already, let's say 50 by 50 pixels, then we maybe say we have a limit to how small a bounding box could be, because if it gets smaller, it doesn't make sense there's nothing to recognize anyway, basically.
True. So
Yeah.
my proposal would be if we go with 64 by 64 pixels without a bounding box that is changing. My argument would be that if an object is small, like the object you see right here on my screen that I shared, I hope you can still see it. This object is 5 pixels, 4 pixels, 5 pixels in size, and I think it's a bird because I know the sequence, and sometimes it looks like a bird and sometimes not. But it doesn't get better no matter how big the area, the cropped area will be. So what I'm going to say is, if we take a 64 by 64 pixel bounding box and keep it all the same, all the neural networks get the same size of images. And even by that, we can decide whether, for example, if you take a bird like that that's very small and you crop it down to, let's say, 10 by 10 pixel, so to have a high signal to noise ratio, and then do that over a sequence of time. So when the bird comes in and flies over our sensor, you will start with 10 by 10 pixels, and you will end up by, when it's closing up, by maybe even 100 by 100 pixels. You know what I mean? So my question is, if the neural network is not sensible in that, so that, of course, or if the neural network is only sensible in a relation between signal and noise, then we will have a problem, because that relation will always be the same. And we never can detect or recognize if an object is far away, and that's why it is small, and that's why its signal to noise ratio is small. But when it comes closer, it becomes more signal and takes more real estate of the bounding box. You know what I mean? Did I make myself clear in a
For
way?
example, I think it can contribute in classification, because only birds and insects can change the area that they take in frame. For example, if you see a plane that is quickly growing, then it's falling down, and this is
Crashing
not
on
something
you.
that happens. But if I think neural networks can react also into this foreground to background area change if we have enough material.
So can I replay that quickly? So essentially, you want to have the bounding boxes be static, like they are only 64 by 64
That's an idea. I just want
pixels in
to talk
size.
about
Okay.
it. I do not want anything.
Yeah.
I have an idea, and I just wanted to ventilate it with you. My point is, if a bird comes too close, I mean, we do not. I mean, every object, even when it's bigger than 64 by 64, has its center point in the middle, and the bounding box will certainly be positioned in the center of the big blob, no matter what size it will be. But the cropped image will always be 64 by 64, even when a bird is sitting on the fisheye, making it completely dark. So the point is,
Sure.
I don't know whether I can make my point here in English, but if you,
So I'm trying to understand if this is a feature of you trying to ensure that everything is 64 by 64 to feed into a neural network, or are you genuinely not interested in finding objects that are bigger than 64 by 64?
so first of all, I do not believe that we get bigger pictures than 64 on the fisheye by 64 by 64. Even a 747 on, I have it on 30,000 feet, is only 10 pixels. And those images of planes, I hope I can find one quickly. No, okay. They are on 500 meters because they land on our airport, which is 3 kilometers away. So they are 500 meters above my head, above my fisheye, and they resolve only with 15 pixels, 20 pixels. So anything that is bigger is a problem anyway, because then it's already sitting on your fisheye. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No,
it makes
I do.
sense.
Yeah, but if it's luminous at night, it'll be bigger in pixels.
True. But yeah, if it's
I mean,
still,
if
yeah, what is the bigness in pixels? If something illuminates, maybe double. You know, anything that is big enough to be recognized and important for us to be recognized is, from my point of view, certainly below on the fisheye only, on the fisheye material, below the 64 by 64 pixels, from my point of view. What shall be bigger? Consider a 747 flying 500 meters above my head and only resolving by 15 to 20 pixels.
I think 64 is perfect, because seeing the material that we have, only few examples have object that is wide as bound box, like playing up close.
We use a smaller sensor then?
No,
No,
we
it's just the
need
crop
the ultra
that way.
resolution.
Okay.
So do you guys want me to always just have a bounding box that's 64 by
This is
64? Is
my
that kind
idea.
of is that the
I do
yeah,
not
no,
say
no, it's
it
fine.
has to.
I'm just trying to making sure I understand that. That's
Yeah,
all.
that's the idea, to keep it
Um,
just on 64. But because then we always have image sequences where we already with the image sequence as a human being, I can see if something comes closer because it is increasing in its in size.
Yeah, true. Yes, yeah. I think this is the way to go.
I
I
mean, we
can
can do it as
certainly.
an option. We can try it out.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I was just going to say that I can definitely, um, I can definitely include it as an option. I can. So, like currently, I've got. So a lot of this stuff is abstracted away. I've not abstracted away the drawing of bounding boxes, but I can certainly abstract that away so that we've got one bounding box which is dynamic and another bounding box that is fixed to a certain size and those
Yeah.
sorts of things. So
Perfect. That would be
it's not
great.
and then you can just set that in the config file as per
Yeah.
what you would prefer. So I'll work on that this week and just get that abstracted away and stuff. And
Cool.
so that's fine.
That would be great to test. Yeah.
Guys, I need to leave you now and hear more from you on Discord.
All right. Bye bye, Nicola.
Bye guys.
Bye guys.
Have a nice time.
Thank you.
Bye.
So I was just, yeah, I removed my sharing. So my idea with the 64 was also that when you assign buffers for CUDA in the GPU, if there are, you have to find a certain size anyways. And the question is, will it always be filled or not filled? So when you define an array of, for example, I don't know how you store an image in the GPU, but if you give it a certain size so that any kind of image will fit in, then I think it's better to have all images the same size. Otherwise, you always have a lot of emptiness, a lot of no data that is being processed.
So generally, well, I mean, I'm no expert in this stuff, right? So also just bear that in mind. I'm just trying to do the best I can. But so with this sort of stuff, generally what you do is you will get an image and then you upload it to the GPU into GPU memory, and then you interact with the image on GPU memory. And this is where it becomes difficult if some operations aren't available on GPU and CPU only, because you have to then download it back to CPU memory, do your CPU operation, upload it back to GPU, do more, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it is. So I don't. So in that sense, I'm not entirely sure if your 64 by 64 bounding box will make a difference. I'll have to. I don't really think it'll make much of a impact because the image is already in GPU memory that you are interacting with.
And you're talking about the big frame.
But I suspect. So this is just my view from Simple Tracker, right? I understand there's a lot of other GPU orientation stuff going on with neural networks and all of that, which I don't know enough about that stuff. But from a Simple Tracker perspective, I have to upload the entire image to GPU memory, do my GPU operations, and then if I need to do CPU operation, I'll pull it down from GPU memory to CPU memory, do some stuff, back up to GPU memory, do stuff, and then spit it out at the end. So drawing a bounding box which is fixed at 64 by 64 or dynamic is not really going to make much difference to that. So
So is it then? It is a question, Yannick. Yannick, you're here, but Nicola is not here anymore. But so that's why I redirect the question to you, Yannick.
Okay.
Please
Let's
correct me.
see.
Yeah, please. I'm thinking while talking. Sorry, and then in English, not my native language. Oh my dear. So, the final idea is to create a new stream of images, of cropped images, right? So we get in the camera, the big camera images, and what the tracker, Mike's tracker, is doing is, let's say, cutting out those events these cropped images,
Yeah.
creating a new image stream that can be picked up by the kinematics, by the neural network for imaging recognition.
Yeah.
Right?
And it might be if we have more than one tracked object, we might have to think about how we deal with that, because then we have,
Several.
let's say,
streams.
if we have two objects, we have two different image streams, right?
Mhm.
Cropped images.
Yeah.
Of cropped images. So maybe there would be a way, if we have, depending if we use CPU or GPU, that we can process that in parallel then, because we have, let's say, 2 or 3 different cropped image streams that are totally independent of each other.
Mhm.
That we
Mhm.
use one core for each, or just use multi-threading for this to do that in parallel.
Mhm.
I think that would be good. Yeah.
So in that case, it would be good if Mike could implement the cropping, not only making the bounding box, but also cropping so that an image exists in the bounding box size.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be
And deliver
very
that
helpful.
to a socket or ROS2. I don't know what they.
Yeah,
call it.
whatever we use for messaging.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
can I just replay that back to you guys? So basically, so currently, so some history. So there are a couple of output writers. So there are um, there are objects that produce artifacts from a video, and those things, those I forget what they're called now. Say let's call them outputters
Aberrations.
or whatever. Yeah, it's more just the images and stuff like that. So those outputters are things that Paul put together for the stuff that he was going to be working on. If you guys need that stuff changing to produce cropped images and all this sort of stuff, just let me know, okay? Because I can very easily do that. Please don't think that what is there currently is the only thing that we can do. It very much is driven by what you guys need. And up until this point, well, up until like April, those were the only things that anyone wanted. So if that's changed, please, yeah, just let me know what you guys need, and I can work on that. So that's not a problem at all. So if you guys need images, if you guys need targets that are cropped in 64 by 64 bit images,
Yeah.
one image per frame and all this sort of per track and all that sort of stuff, we can do that, right? So please don't think you guys have to write a separate Python program to do that. That's something we can definitely build in.
Okay. Yeah, because we need it anyways. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
we need
yeah.
that flow anyways. And what Yannick
Yeah, exactly.
did.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, sorry, I interrupted.
No, I just wanted to say what Yannick did is he made a script, a Python script that crops those images out of videos based
Okay.
on the annotations JSON file. So he takes this
Yeah, I don't know.
original JPEGs and crops them.
Yeah, so that I'm not entirely sure what Paul's approach with that was, because I don't know if some of that stuff, I don't think some of that stuff's checked in. So I don't know if he wanted the whole image and then like the whole frame and then wanted to run a secondary process that basically did all of that. Yeah,
I
but
can,
so
I can recall discussions with Paul about it, and Paul was at that point in time, and I think almost a year ago,
yeah,
of the opinion that a neural network can process whole frames, full frames. And yeah, I was not so much on his page. I thought, yes, technically, probably, but with a high amount of uh, power that you need on the
Yeah,
CPU
yeah, yeah.
or GPU or wherever. So that would unparalleled increase
Yes,
costs.
yes.
So when we think about Jetsons, and we can create those cropped images very easily, actually, it just makes sense to just make a neural network based on those cropped images and not on the full frame. So anything that is
So,
full
so,
frame there can, from my point of view, can be skipped.
so the only thing I would say, yeah, is that in my experience, and this is when I was running Simple Tracker on a Nano, if you brought I/O into it, if you brought writing stuff to the file system, and I know that might not be the case with ROS2 because it might just go over the network, and I don't know the performance impact of that, but all I can say is that writing images to the file system had a massive impact on performance.
True. True.
So, so, so my view was that, and my opinion is, and still is, that the Jetson Nano really should not write anything to a file system.
True.
So it needs to be able to offload that to something like a Raspberry Pi that can do that job, because it just cannot. It would severely impact performance and your frame throughput. It really would do. So I would advise. I would strongly advise against
True.
asking the Nano to
Absolutely
write stuff
true.
to file.
And it is not in the concept that the tracker shall write anything to the file system.
Okay.
Not at all. There's an in and out, of course, but it's all on, at least not on the file system. I say ROS2 for
No,
now,
that's
for
fair
not
enough.
knowing how it works, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no
Okay.
file system involved.
Okay.
And actually, you
Yeah.
don't
No,
have
that's
a file
cool.
system on the Nano. The Nano only comprises the
Or SD
OS
card.
image.
Yeah.
And the storage is a network attached storage, and only the master control program and the archive management is able to write there.
Okay.
So
I just want to
no
get
need.
that point across. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Good point, but no need to.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's the point of storage. Actually, yeah, I'm through here. The last point is the GUI. And I heard things in the last meeting that I did not quite understand. Rebecca, maybe you can correct me. The way that the live stream compared, I mean, the event stream is the event replay is easy, but the live stream, maybe you can recall it for me how the live stream via ROS2 is coming to the GUI. Rebecca, you there? Ah, yeah.
Yes, I'm here. You're asking me how the live stream is coming from the station
Pi.
ROS2?
Yeah, so the live stream is coming in from the camera to the Pi, where there's Indie and there's ROS2. But the front end is on someone's desktop. How does the live stream and even with the annotations from the tracker and all this other information coming in live via ROS2 to the user interface? Am I right in saying that the ROS2 is the transporter for this material?
Yeah, everything's going through ROS2. So ROS2 is kind of the staging area before it ships it out to wherever it's going, you know?
Okay.
So the stream arrives at ROS2, and then ROS2 forwards it to the GUI. And for annotations, I don't know. I kind of figured that would be included in a JSON file or already placed on the image before it gets to the GUI. That I don't know, actually. I don't think we've discussed it or arranged that. But it goes to the GUI. Ida sent me a link last week about sorry, I'm driving right now.
Oh
So-
dear, please stop or we can skip this.
I'm just driving, just so you know.
Please be careful.
Yeah.
They send the. He sent me
Focus on driving. I think
No, I'm
we have this discussion afterwards. So when next week or something. Yeah. Focus on driving.
It's
In
fine.
my opinion.
I'm fine. I'm on a road here, a plain, empty road. So he sent me a link with a viewer, and with that viewer, I can go ahead and use that code and show the camera. I haven't run that viewer yet. It's written in C++. I still need to download ROS2, install it, all that good stuff, and then also install that image, that video viewer. And I don't know if I'm seeing the videos in MP3 or if I'm seeing it as single frame. So that's all I can tell you right now.
Yeah. Okay. So, but basically, the ROS2 is here the transport mechanism to transfer live data. And so, if I think I understood Ido correctly, and real time is totally something new for me. But as I understand him correctly, everything is real time based then, meaning every sensor, every detail, even the tracker is firing its information as it comes in. So for example, Mike, if you make in one frame, one detection of one event, you certainly send a ROS2 signal about that. You don't collect these tracks somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I'm still trying to get my head around ROS2, but my understanding of it is it's basically it's a orchestrator almost.
It's a fire and
so
forget
it's
messaging system.
Yeah, so I'll get to grips with it, but it's so about yes. I suspect I will be publishing if an event happens, I will have to publish that event. And I don't know exactly what would be included in that message, whether it would be the image as well as metadata which says this is the coordinates for the image, the things that we're tracking, and so those little finer details we'll need to work through. But my understanding is you will publish events. So if and then we can publish as many events as we need to. Like we can publish an event which effectively is the whole image with bounding boxes on. We can publish an event which is just the frame. We can publish cropped images, all that sort of stuff. But all of this just depends on compute overhead and that sort of thing. So whether the Nano's the right place to do all of that, I'm not sure, or whether we publish the full frame with a list of tracks that we're interested in, and something else does all the cropping and all that sort of stuff.
The decision making about a track, whether it's an important track or not, is done in the master control program. Another entity does that. So what the tracker shall do is only recognizing something is there, and I send a message. So there's actually no storing of any video, any other images. There's no storing or keeping track of something. Yes, you have to keep a track of, let's say, an array of the same track, so that you can send the track ID for each frame if it is the same track.
Yeah, so basically it is also, so anyway, so we'll need to finalize stuff that needs to be published from Simple Tracker. So
yeah.
But I suspect there will be some sort of I suspect you will want a in my opinion, I suspect you will want a the full frame with bounding boxes drawn on it, because that is something that would need to be shown in the UI.
But that is shown in the UI on a different way. Not because you create that video, but because the master control program sitting on the Pi already receiving the original stream just pushes this one frame by frame wise also to the user interface. And the user interface
so
gets the ROS2 from your side only about the events, event IDs and bounding box IDs and so forth.
Yeah, but how? So I guess my question would be, how does the Raspberry Pi know where to put the bounding boxes if it doesn't know what it's tracking? So the simple tracker knows where the track is. So we would need to ship an image with coordinates for bounding boxes and IDs and stuff like that. So that would be then result in a package of data.
You would
So
not ship
those
an-
sort of
Yeah. Go ahead.
does that make? No. I was just saying that sort of finer stuff we'll still have to work through.
Yeah. And especially what the ROS2 stuff is all about. IDO is preparing this structure and the protocol about it, and then you will see what you have to send.
Yes.
Found a good video for a good introductory video, about 10 minutes long, on what ROS2 does, and I'll share the link. It's
cool.
very
Thank
good
you.
video, very short.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Can you post it here on a Hangout or so?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the tracker, Mike, doesn't have to produce anything besides the cropped images. You don't have
Yeah, but
to.
how? So no, but I mean, how do you? So what are you gonna show on the like the
GUI.
admin web page then? Yeah, so you're gonna have to show the whole image, right?
So
Because
what
if you just show,
we're talking about the live view. The event view is easy because you just replay a video. So when we talk about the live view, to the UI, because it's live and real time, the stream is directly coming from the camera, the Pi, either a socket or a ROS2. I have magic, no idea, directly to the user interface. What you as the tracker then create is ROS2 messages about events that happen, and you just fire them. And the user interface should have a listener kind of to pick those ROS2 messages up and say, okay, that's a bounding box and I have to draw that.
what? Yeah, so I understand the real-time nature of this, but well, I'll have to, I would need just to see that would, because what you don't want to have happen is those, because then you potentially dealing with syncing issues and all that sort of stuff, because what happens if you have an image and the metadata for where to draw the bounding boxes don't, they get out of sync and all these sorts of things. So, all I'm saying is I think there's some detail there that we need to work through. I don't fully understand everything,
Yeah,
but
me neither.
but I'm sure, it's like with anything, we'll just work through it, really.
Yeah, I hope for advice from Ido's side, so I'm confident that he will guide us through this water.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it will.
Because the process of drawing bounding boxes on images and all that sort of stuff is all compute resource. So if you don't have to do that, then potentially you can increase your frame rate and all these, all this sort of stuff.
True.
So.
Yeah, we definitely should unload the simple tracker as much as we can. Especially when
we
do not write anything and only create simple cropped images. Do not create another image, video where there's something on it and so forth.
Yeah, agreed. No, I completely agree with that statement. Yes, and it's just a shame that the CSRT tracker, there isn't a CUDA version of that, to try and leverage that. But I'll just try and optimize as best I can.
Did you see this KNC tracker from NVIDIA for VPI?
Yeah, but that opens up a whole different conversation with regards to, do you want to tie yourself to the VPI platform, and
Aren't we
because
already?
that's, I know exactly. They you can argue that we're already tying to NVIDIA because of CUDA, and but I think if you go down the VPI route, then you are specifically targeting Jetson devices. Because currently now CUDA can run as a graphics card in a PC. So I don't if it's, yeah, and then there's also the versioning. Is that the newer version of VPI is only supported in high-end Jetson devices and blah blah blah. So
Okay, yeah, true. Okay, so we
but
stay with the
yeah.
normal OpenCV. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure if there's much of an alternative really.
Yeah, true.
That is supported as well. The difficulty with a lot of this stuff is finding support, is finding documentation and support and that sort of stuff. So you can potentially have the best solution in the world, but if there's no documentation or support for it, it's really difficult to interact with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Much to do. Still much to do. Yeah. For a last word, because it's 10 minutes to the clock. Yeah, first of all, any other topics you want to raise? If there is none yet, I just make my last words, if you allow me to. So I updated the Discord, as we have discussed and spoken and agreed on, and it's now definitely a split, kind of split between community and developers. The reason is, I just say it loud because it's recorded. The reason is because there was too much noise for developers in certain channels, and they flew the channels. They did not touch the channels anymore, and it doesn't make sense for us, because when we dedicate a certain channel for a certain topic, then the topic shall be discussed there and not on our back channel, for example. So what I did is I gave access to all channels for developers and only read. So for the community channels, the community has all read and write, and for the research and development channels, they only have read option. So you can see all channels, you can see and follow the discussions, but you as a community member would not be allowed to post on developer channels. This is allowed only for developers, so to keep the discussion there more focused and reduce the noise. That was what we basically wanted to achieve. Yeah, that's more or less all about the Discord. You probably also see that some channels are moved and different places now. Yeah, from my point of view, it makes much more sense. If you have comments and you have proposals for changes, please let me know. And the last thing I wanted to inform you is that, yeah, in the Dev Hangout, I added another video about the extra material, and just wanted to have your comments on that, whether you like it or you see there's a problem, I'm missing something, and so forth. And if you do not comment within the next 2 days, I'd put it online. And the same is true for the next video that's coming. So that's a series of how-to videos. And that's what I want to say is they are homemade. They are made by me and Oliver. So we are not professionals in this. So it looks like it is very homemade and garage made. But in the future, we will have more professional videos. But this is the start for now. Okay, that's all my topics, all my points on my list. Anything else from your side? Any questions? Any ideas? Otherwise, I'd say we wrap it up for today. And I wish you all a pleasant Sunday. And I hope to see you again next Sunday and read you in between. Bye bye, guys.
Okay, thanks.